It's not uncommon for scientists of major organizations in video games to have flaws and ambitions. In fact, this makes them much more dangerous to the heroes and adds dynamic to the overall plot in the story, with their already vast array of resources available in their research. In today's lore video, we will be taking a look at one of those said scientists, Dr. Cid, who is the first character named Cid in the Final Fantasy series to serve as an antagonist, and is a scientist and researcher whose ambitions led him to a chance encounter and partnership with a godlike being, and his extensive research of nethicite, magical stones with the power of mist infused in small objects. But who is he exactly? What led him down to this dark path? And how did this ambition and ignorance of the consequences affect his life and relationships with his loved ones, and his overall fate in the events of Final Fantasy XII? We will be taking a closer look at this as we delve into the lore of Dr. Cid. Cidolfus Bonanza was born 58 years before the events of Final Fantasy XII in the city of Arcadia. His role as head researcher in one of the biggest kingdoms of Ivalice in his time suggests his deep wisdom and his intelligence. While little is known about his childhood, it may have been possible that he was someone who was quite studious and excelled in his studies. He fathered 3 sons in his lifetime, but we only know of one of them, Famran Bonanza. In fact, an art piece depicts that Dr. Cid cares very much for his children, raising him very well to the point where he groomed Famran to become a judge in the Imperial Army, while already working within Draclor Laboratories as a scientist. At some point after this appointment, and 6 years before the events of the game, Dr. Cid made a trip towards the Yak de Four, which is the part of Yak that is covered by the forest, specifically Golmor Jungle and the Feywood. He stumbles deeper into territory and comes across the ancient city of Giravegan, where he comes across Vina. It is not confirmed if this was a chance meeting or if this was an objective of his expedition, but it is safe to say that this encounter changed the rest of his life. Upon his return from the Yak, his demeanor suddenly changes. He has become more obsessed with magical stones and its qualities, as well as being seen speaking to thin air. While the likes of Vayne Salador are aware of this change in behavior and understands the meaning behind it, others, like Dr. Cid's own son, grow wary and even suspicious of his sudden change in behavior. After realizing that his father has become very distant, Famran runs away from his role in the army and turns to the life of a sky pirate, adopting the name Balthier. This act greatly upsets Dr. Cid, who had high aspirations for his son, and leads for the two to be on different sides for the rest of the game. This new change in behavior also resulted in his sudden interest in nethicite, the magical stones created by the Ocuria. It is likely this obsession stems from the information he received from Venat, who likely told him that the Ocuria like to control the history of Ivalice by using nethicite to appoint puppets under the guise of the title of Dynast King, to unite all of Ivalice, so by proxy, the entirety of it would fall under Ocurian influence. Dr. Cid wanted to defy the gods by using the power of nethicite and inject it into human technology. At some point, Dr. Cid and Vayne discover that the nethicite was split into 3 shards, the Midlight Shard, the Dawn Shard, and the Dusk Shard, so they set out to obtain the shards to have control of the nethicite. During this war, they obtained the Midlight Shard, the heirloom of Nabradia, and one of the 3 pieces of day-affected nethicite. Curious at the stone's power, Dr. Cid orders Judge Zet to use its powers. Judge Zet witnessed its power firsthand when he observes the power destroy an entire kingdom. Shocked by its power and ashamed of his actions, Judge Zet flees, defecting from the Empire. Dr. Cid continues his pursuit of the remaining shards in order to further the research of powers of nethicite, while constructing new weapons and airships imbued with its power, to varying results, both successful and unsuccessful. Eventually, the ghosts of his past have returned to confront him as Dr. Cid comes across the party for the first time in Draclor Laboratories, coming face to face with his son Balthier, as well as the mysterious swordsman Redis, who we come to learn was the former Judge Zet. The group fights the Doctor in Draclor and defeats him, but manages to flee, telling the party that he would await their presence at Giravegan, the place where he first met Vana. When the party realized that Dr. Cid lured them there so he could get them the location of the Pharaoh's lighthouse, the party finally confront him again with Redis, where they face Dr. Cid in one last showdown. This time, having a weapon up his sleeve, as his research into the use of nethicite allows him to summon the Esper Famfrit, making him the only non-party character capable of such a feat. Despite this power, Cid was defeated and passes away. But he had one final goal to achieve before his death, which was to use the power of the mist emanating from the Sun Crest to power the Sky Fortress Bahamut, as we see its power during the battle against the Resistance. However, I want to look at a specific detail in this event, and it is his final words to Balthier.
If you are so set on running, hadn't you best be off?
This is important because while it may sound degrading, in fact it has a deeper meaning. Looking at the Ultimania archives, the meaning behind this message was more of a positive one, as since Balthier had already chosen the life of a sky pirate, which he discovered by running away from his father, Dr. Cid encourages him to continue on this path. But this is a small detail that can be easily missed. And that about does it for Dr. Cid. I think he's a tremendous character because he embodies what the potential consequences of chasing ambitions can be in both his professional and his personal life, which also applies in real life. Tell me what you think of Dr. Cid. Did you like him as a character? Can you relate to some of his qualities? If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel to see more related content, and check out my shorts for short lore and check out my shorts for short form lore content. Other than that, this is Enzo signing out, and I will see you all again soon.